Hey, it's Matthew with Dead Rights, here for another video, and today I want to talk about something that I've been thinking about. I've thought about this a lot. However, uh, a a comment from a very kind person who said that he was an agnostic from India uh, got me thinking about it again. So just I've been thinking a lot about agnosticism and how it doesn't make any sense to me. I just I'm a Christian. Obviously, I believe in Jesus. I believe that there is a God who is known and knowable, and He's made Himself known by the person of Jesus, and that He wants us to know Him, and He wants us to be in a relationship with Him, and to know Him like we know a Father. And so it doesn't make sense to me. Agnosticism doesn't make sense to me, or at least an agnosticism that is simply comfortable in that belief with no real motivation to find who God is, to understand who God is and what He's like, and that He can be known. Those kind of things don't make sense to me. And so I want to talk about sort of my simple proof, what I believe is proof that God is one, exists. God exists, He is knowable, and He wants to be known by people. Th- those are kind of my thoughts on the matter, and I am going to present my rationale behind that. The reason that I think that God is real, is knowable, and wants to be known is because for all of time, man has conceived of Him. Now, man doesn't have infinite knowledge, and oftentimes man is persuaded by things that aren't real, but within man is a concept of God in a way that no other creature has. No animal has this. A fish doesn't have this. A bird doesn't have this. But man has conceived of a creator for all of time. You go back as far as time and as far as we have history, and you'll find men and women who write and theorize about who God might be. So you could either come to the conclusion that that is some kind of evolutionary response to something in life, whether that be fear or a way to create law and judgment and good and bad and rationalize, morality. Or you can come to the conclusion that it's because God has put it within us that we would think of Him, that we would think about what He's like, and though that's twisted by our own intents, I'm part of a race of people who are evil, and we devise of evil things, and we think of things for ourselves more than we think of things for other people. And so certainly it could be that this concept of God has been twisted by uh, our own considerations of ourselves and what we want in our lives for evil. That we want, I want what I want. I don't want to care for anyone else. And so I'm going to conceive of God because I know that it's in my heart to believe in God. I'm going to choose to believe in a God who is fits my criteria of life and what I want to see happen in my life. I think that's completely possible for man to do. And I think that's probable for how we've gotten so confused on who God is and have come up with so many different religions is because men and women throughout history have conceived of God. They've thought about God. They know, well, I know that there must be a God. But that thought makes you uncomfortable that, well, who is this God? What is he like, and what does he ask of me, and what is he requiring of my life? And the easiest thing to do is to take that and then convince yourself that God must approve of the things that you like, of your culture and your way of living and your values and your sense of morality. And because our hearts are continually bent toward evil, if unchecked by the law, then it's easy to create gods who will persuade us into evil and accepting of that. If you look at throughout history of religions that were tolerant of rape and abuse and the murder of innocents as a religious, means, abusing people and harming societies. So I would say that because it is in our heart to conceive of God, that itself is a proof of his existence, that he is there. And I would also go so far as to say that that concept in and of itself would have to have been given to us by that God. And for what purpose would he give that to us? Except that we can know him. And if we can know him, and he's given it into our minds to conceive of him because he is knowable, then for him to put that into us, I would conclude that that's because he's not only knowable, but his very desire and intention of man is that we would know him, that we would find him out. That in all of our questions and all of our seeking and all of our wondering and theorizing, that we would come to some reality of who he actually is. That I would actually know him and be convinced of him and choose to acknowledge him with my life and accept the things that he asks me to do. That's my rationale behind these thoughts. And so I challenge agnostics, challenge this friend from India. Uh, I'm very grateful for his comment. I have one subscriber. You could probably guess who that is in my life. Um, most of my videos have one view from that very faithful subscriber, and that subscriber hasn't even watched all of my videos. And so this person watching a video and commenting something very kind I'm very grateful for. But obviously, as a Christian, I have to humbly proclaim that I disagree with your life. I disagree with your beliefs. Obviously, I believe in Jesus because I disbelieve in everything else. The very nature of belief is to disbelieve other options. I don't say I believe in Jesus, but I'm also okay if you believe. No, I believe in Jesus. So I believe that he is the way, the truth, and the life, and that by knowing him, you can know God. And by knowing God, you can glorify God. And by glorifying God, you can be with God forever in a good and healthy relationship with your Creator for all of time. And that's his intention. And I simply rationalize the historical nature and the physical nature of conceiving of God to where it doesn't make sense to me of agnosticism. But do you at least pursue it? I couldn't imagine. I mean, I'm just saying, I could not imagine being an agnostic and not constantly thinking, who is he? Who is this God? If I believe that there's a God because I don't believe in the atheistic point of view that all this could have happened out of nothing. That's just completely irrational. It's completely foolish to sit there and say that all of physics came about by the breaking of physical laws. The physical laws came about by the absence of physical laws. That makes zero sense. And I probably butcher an atheistic belief on the beginning of all things, but at some point you have to think eternally. At some point you have to think that there is eternality to this world, because it cannot be that something did not exist and then came to existence without there being something that existed prior that could create it. And so either all of matter had to exist, or somebody or something had to exist prior to matter. And so I can at least agree with the agnostics more than I agree with the atheists. But I would just simply be in absolute utter um, mental circles trying to figure out who this God was, who created everything. I would want to know with everything in me, who is he? How do I know him? Can I know him? How did he make everything? Why did he make everything? What's the purpose behind it all? But it would be unlikely that a creator would make something with no purpose. Something as grand as this, and it's got its flaws. No, God didn't make it with flaws, but we made it with flaws. God has a good plan to redeem all those flaws and to make something perfect out of it. But I would just be restless in my mind. I already am restless in my mind, even as a Christian, thinking about how I can live a meaningful life like Jesus. But even more so if I were an agnostic, I would be wrestling daily with who this God was. And so I would surmise, I would suggest that by the very nature of that thinking, that there is a God, the very concept from all of history that man has always conceived of God, is in itself proof that he exists, proof that we can know him, and proof that his desire and intent in making you is that you would seek him out and find him, and that he would reveal himself to you. And I think that was accomplished by God through Jesus Christ. That's me. That's my thoughts for today. Uh, if you're an agnostic, send me more comments. I really was very grateful for that guy's comment, and much love to India back. Um, I love my Indian uh, Christian brothers and sisters. I live in an area with a lot of Indians, and so I have a love and concern for them that they would know God. And yeah, so have a blessed day. Um, I will talk to you again soon, I suppose. See y'all.